Rev up your engines. Lately, people are nuts about pickup trucks. You've seen the price. Some of the new ones are $81,000, $91,000. Well, maybe buy a used one. This is a Chevy Colorado. Now, he just bought it for $7,000. You can see the body's in good shape. And on top of it all, as you can see here, it is also a 4x4, which is what a lot of people want. Now, the Colorados were originally called a compact pickup truck. Now they call them a mid-size. This is really a mid-sized vehicle, right? As time goes on, they're actually making them worse than they used to. This particular one is probably pretty close to the pinnacle of one of the best ones they ever made. And that has to do with what's under the hood. The large 2.9 liter 4-cylinder engine, timing chain, no turbo, no gasoline direct injection, GDI. This one's hauled up quite well. It's got like 130,000 miles on it. You're not going to see that with the new Colorados. Yeah, you can get 300 something horsepower in the new Colorados. They're turbo, they're GDI. I've seen the engines blow up at 65,000 miles. This engine still runs like a clock and it's got 130. Now, of course, a lot of stuff depends on what do you want in a truck. For example, with this engine, hey, you're not going to be pulling 10,000 pound loads, but he doesn't care. He doesn't pull big loads with it. Now for a truck, it gets good gas mileage. He said his needle hardly ever moved coming here. Get about 24 miles a gallon. In town, you're going to get a lot worse. It's a truck and you're shifting, it's a heavy weight, right? For what it is, that's decent gas mileage. And the main thing is, this particular engine with no turbo, no GDI, isn't stressed, and it can last a long time. Yeah, you're not going to put a snow plow on it here and plow in the winter. But hey, let me tell you something. People in Rhode Island, I know guys that actually bought all the snow plowing equipment, a nice fancy truck, right? Last year they plowed once for the whole year. The world is warming up, and the poor slobs that bought all that equipment, they're not making any money. It doesn't snow enough. He's never going to put a snow plow on it. He doesn't care. He's not going to be pushing a heavy weight. It's a utilitarian truck. Let's say you wanted a loaded, big, fancy V8 pickup truck with all the trimmings. He could buy 10 of these and still have change left over. Get out. It isn't all plastic crap. Look at the bumper. Oh my God, it's made out of steel. And so is the back one. It's just not chrome plated. Hey, get it all marked up anyways. It's got a decent sized bed too. Now for those who want to cram a family in, well, not the greatest vehicle. He didn't hit the seats. He could buy seats. This is used, didn't hit the seats. You can see the seat belts are there. But if you do have kids as they grow up, you're going to stunt their growth because they're going to be squashed in there. This is basically a regular cab with room in the back. It's not really made for people. You put dogs in there, right? But people, no. You know, and a lot of people these days, they want something that they can bring the whole family, and they like the 4-door pickups. This is more a classic pickup. Hey, this one's held up quite well so far. We're going to test it with my scan tool, see what kind of shape it's in. You're talking about like 17 years old. It's held up quite well. We'll look under, and you can see the frame's still solid. You know why it's still solid? You can see it's been sprayed and taken care of. This is the biggest caveat if you're buying a used truck. You want to check the undercarriage of the truck. Is the frame rotten or is it in solid shape? If it's rotten, walk away. Unless you're one of those crazy guys that's going to buy a classic truck, you're going to take the body off the frame and you're going to do the frame over completely and put it all back together. Costs a fortune. Most people don't want to do that. You find it solid underneath. That's most of the battle of an old truck. He looked at this, and he also looked at a Ford Ranger. He went under that Ford Ranger, it was rotting away. Ford is notorious for having rotting vehicles. I mean, when I was a kid, there were rotting vehicles, and many of them still are rotting vehicles. This one wasn't rotten, he was smart. That's the first thing you look at if you're gonna buy a used truck. If it's rotten, unless you wanna restore it, and it's a collector's item, walk away. It's not worth the headaches, but this one isn't rusted. Giant scan tool out. You can see it's already ready. That's 4-speed automatic. Base radio, actually, it's got its own radio that the previous owner put in, so we don't care. I think 2008 light-duty Chevy truck. All these are basically pretty much the same type of thing. Basic topology scan, so here we go. And where we're going, dash plastic still good. The seat's got seat covers on it. What do you expect? They wear out over time. And the back seats are gone. The previous owner did something with them, but like I said, only very small people could be sitting back there, even though they do have seat belts hanging off there. It's got 6 trouble codes. A lot of them will probably be total nonsense, so we'll start out with the instrument panel. See what that stupid code is? Class 2 data link high. Well, that's because this has been added in, so we'll erase it. We really don't care. Realize that when you take the stock radio out of a GM product, put another one in, it'll get weird communication codes. A lot of stuff goes through there, so you don't really care. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't put the check engine light on, so you can't get it inspected. And the next one is the body control module. That has 4 codes. There'll probably be some squirrely stuff too. Let's see what they are. It's telling you that tire pressure sensors aren't working. Realize each tire has a tire pressure sensor which runs on a battery that's built into it. This vehicle is now like 17, 18 years old. The batteries are dead. And no one's going to spend a whole bunch of money other than buy a tire pressure gauge for $10 and check it yourself every once in a while. And the last one, generator battery control module. We'll see what crazy code that one's got. It's saying that it doesn't have enough power, and that's very typical. When you got an old battery in a car, somebody might have changed the battery or the alternator, and they didn't reset any of the codes, so we'll erase that too. And now we'll start her up. Starts right up, and we'll go back to the ECM. Black is good, red is bad. And we'll start looking through it. Map sensor's good. Closed loop. Now the long-term fuel trim is 3%, which isn't bad with all this mileage. It's adding a little fuel. What happens is the fuel injectors get old, they're not as efficient, so we'll add a little bit of fuel. No big deal. It's getting 20-something miles a gallon on the highway. Personally, I'd leave it alone. But if you wanted, you could have the fuel injector clearance. And if you listen, you can hear it's got a little bit of an exhaust leak. When you get an exhaust leak, that often messes with the fuel trims. You can fix that, but hey, if you don't mind, and it's still getting decent gas mileage, it's an old truck. A lot of people aren't going to care. So let's check out some of the automatic transmission. This is a 4-speed automatic. Now we're using a regular tranny now, and that's normal. Now, the transfer case ratio is off, but that's because it's not being used. We're gonna put it in 4-wheel drive now. You see, once it's in 4-wheel drive, it's no longer red, it's showing normal data. Now, he hasn't even used a 4-wheel drive, so we checked it out. Yeah, it works and everything. But if you do not use 4-wheel drive systems, they'll have a tendency of throwing out bad data. So, if you want them to last as long as possible, you get a 4-wheel drive vehicle like this. At least once a month, put it in 4-wheel drive and drive it around for like 15 or 20 minutes. That keeps everything lubricated and working, because it's like the old saying is, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Well, use it, then you won't lose it. I'm assuming the previous owner must have used it because it worked perfectly fine when I put it in. Get some more transmission data, and nothing else is squirrely. So we'll take it for a spin. Now you can see it's got 133,846 miles. We'll put it in reverse, and of course it doesn't have a backup camera. This car is a special option. These are called hand crank windows. For you young people, you crank the window, and then the window goes up. And you crank it the other way, it goes down. Now here we go over the horrible roads of Rhode Island, voted worst roads in the nation year after year. It doesn't ride bad at all. He's got a Grand Marquis, and he said, hey, there really isn't that much difference in the ride, I gotta say. For pickup trucks, it's got a really nice ride. The one thing that people always complain about, it don't have enough power, so let's see. What kind of power does it have? Here we go, and let's step on the gas. Smooth shift. It's a 4-cylinder engine in a medium-sized pickup truck, but hey, it gets you where you're going. It gets good gas mileage. You're not plowing, you're not towing heavy objects, but it certainly runs perfectly fine. Now understand, as the man just said, he doesn't even go over 55 miles an hour in his Grand Marquis on the highway, so hey, this is the perfect vehicle for him. He's not going to go fast. He's going to drive it around. Hey, it's probably going to last him an awful long time. Hey, really? Hey, you got himself a good truck. Hey, if you could have found 10 of them for the price of a new one, he could have made a lot of money selling them off to other people. We drive down, it's quiet. I mean, I got the window rolled down, but the wheel bearings aren't making any roaring noises or anything. This is a really good work truck for that kind of money. if you don't mind a 4-cylinder engine that is going to tow all that much. So there you have it. I am not a Chevy fan, but it's a little bit older, and it's got the 4-cylinder 2.9 nice size 4-cylinder engine with no GDI, no turbo. It can run a really long time. I wouldn't be surprised if it outlasted the new ones with turbos and GDIs. I've seen the new turbo engines blow at 65,000 miles. This thing still runs like a top. If you're looking for pickup trucks, you can find one like this that doesn't have a rusted frame. Don't poo-poo something like this. Now, let's say this would have been a 2019 or 20. I probably would have told somebody, oh, I wouldn't buy that if I were you. They got too many problems. They were building them solid back in the day. Now, I actually really liked the Colorados when they had the 3.5 5-cylinder engine in them. Those are good engines too, but GM decided in their usual stupidity, oh, here's a good engine. Oh, let's get rid of it. We'll put a 4-banger in there, cheaper to make, right? I had customers with those 5-cylinder ones that had 300,000 miles. They were still running pretty good. Yeah, I never see that with the new Turbo 4. But that's GM for you. You know, they go from one mistake to another. If you could find one that's in good shape like this, it could be a great work truck. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.